Hi, and welcome to Cozy Collectibles, where once a week I get in my pajamas and get real comfy and show you a different collectible from my collection of action figures, statues, comic books, all kinds of stuff. So, this is my first episode, so I want to start off with something really special, and this right here is the very first Batman action figure I ever owned. Now, not this one. That particular action figure has been lost to the depths of time. There's no telling where it is. It's in a box, I'm sure, somewhere at my parents' house, if it is even still in one piece today. It probably disintegrated long ago. But I did find this at a comic shop down in Wilmington called Memory Lane Comics a couple of years ago or so, and they wanted the high price of $10 for it, so I sprung for it so I could have it in my collection. Now, not only is this special because it's the first Batman action figure I ever owned, but it's also in really good condition. This came out around the time of the '89 movie with Michael Keaton as Batman, and Toy Biz had launched a series of action figures tying into that film. They also did some other DC characters, some Batman villains. And they did, I believe they did a Superman figure, all around the same style with the same articulation points, same scale, similar accessories. Their Joker action figure actually looked more like the comic book Joker than Jack Nicholson's Joker. With its hairstyle and its smile and the shape of its face and everything, had a very pointed chin, very pointed nose, like a Joker's usually drawn in the comics. But Batman, of course, had on his all black from the film. Not the traditional blue and gray that he was wearing in the comics at the time, and had 5.7 points of articulation. The head turns to the left and right, which is more than Michael Keaton was able to turn in the film. If you watch it, you see he actually has to turn his whole body because the cowl was just one big massive piece of rubber. And he couldn't turn his head, it kept his neck locked in place. The elbows are not articulated. The arms move up and down, but the elbows are molded into a bent position, which I actually think is pretty cool because you can put him in some really neat fighting poses, some really neat fighting stances, with one hand up to attack and one hand down to guard and that kind of thing. The waist does not turn because the waist is where the rope for his feature is stored. His action feature is actually serves the same function as his grapnel gun for the character, in that he uses it to zip up towards a higher ledge. So you take his belt right here, and you pull it out, and you let the figure go, and he ascends. So the string that the belt is attached to is stored in his waist, and for that reason, his waist is molded in place. But his hips move, legs move up and down, so articulation on the hips there, and the knees bend, which was actually not commonplace for action figures at the time. So I thought this was really cool as a kid because I could put him in sort of like a little jump kick pose, or a knee strike. He's ramming his knee up into the bad guy's midsection. You could also have him sit on things. You kind of sit into the Batmobile or on the edge of your desk. And it looked a little more real to life than just having his legs sticking out like that. So this one is in really good shape. No discoloration. The cape detaches. The plastic ring that attaches to the neck is actually still pretty tight. The cape holds nice and secure. No chips off of it. You see the eyes still have a nice white tint to them. No smudged paint. Comes with one accessory, the Batarang. Now, if you look at the Batarang, it has this hoop on it, which I'm not really sure what purpose it is to serve. I think maybe when they were designing it, they thought that you could put a string through it or something and have him zip line. Maybe, but the positioning isn't really conducive to that. Well, I guess if you position his hand like that, maybe. But because the wrist don't twist or anything like that, you can't really put him in any kind of dynamic poses for zip lining. What that would look like. But like I said, you could, flip the Batarang around and, have him zip line like that. You could put him in a decent zip lining stance, I guess. But that's just me taking a guess. I don't know for sure that that's exactly what that little hoop was designed for. It just looks kind of out of place, and I like to think that they wanted it to serve some kind of function. Another thing that's indicative of its quality, the shape that it's in, is the bat signal on his chest, or the bat symbol rather, is still has really nice defined lines. There's no smudging, no chipping there. The belt's a little loose, but as I remember, it was always kind of loose. Didn't really, and its vertical rotation really stay in one place reliably. So yeah. Now, as far as the collectability of this figure, probably not great. Like I'm probably not going to be able to sell it in 10 years for and be able to retire off of it. Like I said, I paid $10 for it, and for it to be in as good shape as it is, and to only go for $10, albeit loose, still $10 isn't, it was probably $4.99, $5.99. The cheapest it might have been was $3.99 maybe when it came out. It's been a while since 1989, since I was 7 years old, and I wasn't buying my own action figures at the time, so I don't really know what they went for. But still, if you want a cool Batman action figure to add to your collection, if you really love the '89 movie, and you really love that version of Batman, then this would be kind of like a core, I would think, of your collection. So, if you see it, pick it up. It's a good addition. So, thank you for tuning into Cozy Collectibles. Like I said, once a week, I'll get real comfy in my pajamas, because that's my default state. Much like Batman, Bruce Wayne is the disguise I put on when I have to face the public. I would much rather be at home in my pajamas. So, I hope to see you back next week on Cozy Collectibles, where we'll take a look at another one of the pieces in my collection. So, thank you, and I hope to see you next week.